Hi, my name is Heather Hardy, and I'm standing outside of the Harris Teeter store, my neighborhood store in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm here to tell you a family story that happened about 10 years ago. It was the spring of 1999 when my son Elliot was just a toddler. Harris Teeter was the only store that Elliot was happy to go to because of two things. They offered wonderful cookies and helium balloons. And Elliot at the time was completely enamored with helium balloons, but they had to be red ones. Pretty soon the associates at Harris Teeter got to know Elliot and his love for balloons, and they would make sure that we had red balloons in the corral when Elliot came in, or else they'd blow up one, especially for him. And as time went on, he'd get a cookie in one hand and a balloon in the other, and those would keep him occupied while I did my shopping. And as time went on, he got creative with his balloons. He liked to let them go up and see how high they would go. And the associates learned to put extra long strings on the red balloons so that I could retrieve them for him as we did the shopping. Then obviously, as a mom, we get smart enough that you tie the balloon, the string around his wrist. And then one day he managed to get the balloon untied at the top and said, uh-oh, as the balloon went up. And then it was time for a new rule. And the new rule was we get a cookie on the way in and a balloon on the way out. So the first time we tried the new rule, I was just going in for some groceries for dinner. So it was a very quick trip, and Elliot was fine. I reminded him of what we were doing. He was fine till we got in line. And because it was 4:30 in the afternoon, the line was a little bit longer than we were used to. And also, the balloon corral was directly in front of us at the end of the aisle. And he just became so engaged in those balloons and started begging. The people in line, I think, were preparing for a meltdown and said, won't you just give him the balloon? but we were sticking to the rules. I got to the front of the line. They took my groceries out, put my cart at the end, and at that point Elliot is sitting just probably about 5 feet from the balloon corral. Just eyes full of longing. I'm checking out the groceries, and then the associate taps on my arm and points over at Elliot, and there he is. His little hand is just beckoning over to the balloon corral. He's reaching as far as he can, and sure enough, there is a red balloon that must have been filled early that day, because the helium is obviously dissipated a little bit. Instead of being very buoyant at the top, it was just sort of hovering beneath the balloon corral. And sure enough, his little beckoning, the balloon started dancing right over to where he was. And I don't, who knows, the law of physics, whatever it was, the doors, as you see, doors opening and closing, air currents, but the string of that balloon went right into this little 2-year-old's hand, and he couldn't have been more thrilled. The people behind me started applauding. There was just this moment of silence that everyone knew something very special had just happened. We took Elliot home that night. The days before cell phones, but I couldn't film it all on camera as it happened, but he held on to that balloon all the way home, through dinner, through his bath, fell asleep with it in his hand. And there's a picture of him. To this day, Elliot, now 13, still, Harris Teeter is the only store he likes to come to. He still, on occasion, will snag a balloon if there's a red one in the corral, and he's sure that nobody who knows him will see, this 12-year-old boy walking out with a balloon. But now the thing that draws him in isn't so much the red balloon as the red box that's now right by the balloon corral. At least in our neighborhood, the red box movies are still a Harris Teeter exclusive, and something that he is a Harris Teeter fan for life.